You've cried in front of someone and immediately felt embarrassed about it. Maybe you turned away, maybe you apologized, maybe you said something like, "Sorry, I don't know why I'm crying," even though you did know, even though the reason was completely valid. You just felt like you'd done something wrong, like you'd shown something you weren't supposed to show. Here's what's strange about that. Crying is the one thing every human being on Earth does. Every culture, every language, every civilization in recorded history. Newborns cry within seconds of arriving. People cry alone, in the dark, for reasons they can't even name. We cry at movies about fictional people we've never met. We cry at songs. We cry at the end of things, even good things. And not a single other species on this planet does this. Not chimpanzees, our closest living relatives, who share 98.7% of our DNA and who experience fear, grief, and attachment in ways that look remarkably like our own. Chimps have been observed mourning their dead, sitting beside the bodies of infants for days. They don't cry. Not elephants, who grieve their dead and return to the bones of family members years later, touching them gently with their trunks. They don't cry. Not wolves, who form bonds that last a lifetime and show measurable signs of distress when separated from their pack. Not dolphins. Not dogs. Despite what the internet tells you, dogs produce tears as a biological response to reunion with their owners, but not emotional tears in the way humans do. Just us. One species out of 8 million on this planet, the only one that produces tears in response to emotional states. The only one that cries. The question nobody ever bothers to ask is why, not just what triggers it, not just what it means to us culturally, but why evolution kept it, why it exists in every human society that has ever lived, and what it was actually designed to do. The answer, the real answer, the evolutionary answer, is the strangest thing you'll hear today. Shorindy. Let's start with what crying actually is, not what it feels like, what it is. When you cry, your lacrimal glands produce fluid that drains across your eye and down your face. This happens in response to emotional states, grief, frustration, relief, even overwhelming joy. It serves no obvious mechanical function. It doesn't help you see better. It doesn't clean a foreign object from your eye. It makes your vision worse. It makes your face red. It makes your voice break. It signals your exact emotional state to every person within 30 feet of you. From a pure survival standpoint, this is a disaster. You are announcing your vulnerability to anyone watching. You are making yourself harder to defend. You are broadcasting distress in a world where distress was dangerous, and yet evolution kept it, refined it, made it one of the most distinctly human things about you. Which means it was doing something important enough to outweigh every disadvantage. Oh, not that. The first theory, the one most people have heard, is that crying is a social signal, a way of communicating distress to others in the group who might offer help. This is true, but it's incomplete, and the incomplete version misses what makes human crying genuinely extraordinary. Here's what the research actually shows. In 2011, neuroscientist Vingerhoets, the world's leading researcher on human crying, published a comprehensive analysis of what tears actually communicate to observers, not what we think they communicate, what they biologically trigger in the brains of the people who see them. The results were striking. Seeing someone cry produced measurable increases in empathy, trust, and the urge to provide help, even in strangers, even in people who had no relationship with the crier. Even when the crying was completely silent, with no sound, no context, just tears on a face. But here's the part that changes everything. The effect was dramatically reduced when the tears were digitally removed from the image. Same face, same expression, same context, no tears. The trust response collapsed. It wasn't the emotion that triggered the biological response in observers, it was the tears themselves, the liquid, the physical signal. Your tears are not a byproduct of emotion, they are a communication system. A biological broadcast that says something specific, something your face alone cannot say. And what do they say? This is where it gets genuinely remarkable. Tears blur vision. Specifically, they blur the crier's vision, reducing their ability to track movement, assess threats, respond to danger. And this is visible. Anyone looking at someone with tears streaming down their face can see that this person cannot see them clearly. In the ancient world, the ability to track threat and respond to movement was the difference between life and death. So what tears communicate, at the most fundamental evolutionary level, is not just distress. They communicate surrender of threat. I cannot see you clearly. I cannot track your movements. I am not a danger to you right now. This is why tears trigger trust, not because they're sad, because they're honest in a way that cannot be faked. You cannot produce genuine emotional tears on command. You cannot fake the physiological state required to cry, which means tears are one of the only signals in human communication that is biologically impossible to counterfeit. In a species where deception evolved alongside cooperation, where the ability to read others' intentions was critical to survival, an unfakeable signal of vulnerability was extraordinarily valuable. You didn't just cry to get help, you cried to prove you needed it, and couldn't fake it. There's a second layer to this that the surrender theory doesn't fully explain. Why do we cry alone? If crying is a social signal designed to communicate to others, why does it happen in empty rooms, in parked cars, in the dark, when no one is watching? The answer points to something deeper in the function of human tears. In 2000, biochemist William Frey conducted a landmark analysis of the chemical composition of emotional tears versus non-emotional tears, the kind produced by cutting onions or getting something in your eye. He found that emotional tears contain significantly higher concentrations of stress hormones, particularly ACTH, the hormone that triggers cortisol production, as well as enkephalins, which are natural painkillers, and prolactin, the same hormone associated with the calm that follows emotional release. In other words, when you cry, you are literally excreting stress. The emotional discharge is not metaphorical. You are physically removing stress chemistry from your body through your tears. The relief isn't psychological. It's biochemical. This is also why suppressing tears, physically stopping yourself from crying, produces the opposite effect. The stress hormones stay in circulation. The pressure doesn't release. The weight you were carrying remains exactly as heavy as it was before, because you gave the system no way to discharge it. This is why crying alone, crying with no audience, no social function, no one to signal, still makes you feel better afterward. Not always immediately. But the post-cry state is measurably different from the pre-cry state. The neurological weight of whatever you were carrying is genuinely reduced. Your body has a pressure release system, and it works through your eyes. Koino kadudaptu. It is a triple-function evolutionary system that exists in no other species on Earth. It signals genuine, unfakeable vulnerability to your social group, triggering trust and assistance from others. It communicates surrender of threat, reducing the defensive response in observers and making social repair possible after conflict. And it physically removes stress chemistry from your body, providing genuine neurological relief independent of any audience. 3 functions, 1 mechanism. Refined over hundreds of thousands of years in a species that needed all 3 desperately. And here's the part worth carrying with you. The shame you feel when you cry in front of someone, the instinct to apologize, to hide your face, to say you don't know why. That is a modern cultural response, a learned behavior, a signal that somewhere along the way, your culture decided that demonstrating the most distinctly human thing about you was weakness. But your biology disagrees. Your tears are not weakness. They are one of the most sophisticated communication systems in the animal kingdom. They are the reason the people who saw you cry were more likely to help you, more likely to trust you, more likely to stay. They are the reason you felt lighter afterward, even when nothing had changed. You didn't break down. You did exactly what 300,000 years of human evolution built you to do, in the only way that couldn't be faked, couldn't be mistaken, and couldn't be ignored. That's what this channel is. Every week, one thing about being human that feels wrong, weak, or embarrassing, explained by the hundreds of thousands of years that made it exactly right.